What's going on, everyone? Bass here. So in this video, we're going to be going over the PFF grades for last week's game against the Detroit Lions there on Monday Night Football. We'll be going over the winners, which would be the good grades, and the losers, which would be the bad grades on both offense and defense. All right, so let's waste no time and start with the winners on offense. Bring up the screen here, and this one should be obvious. Aaron Jones. I mean, the dude played amazing. He was the highest graded Green Bay Packer this week with an 88.1. with a 92.1 in the passing game, a 77.5 pass block grade, and a 74.1 running grade. Now, this is a big improvement from last week where he only had a 53.2 grade and 5 carries for only 9 yards. This week, he turned it up and ran 17 times for 67 yards and a touchdown. He caught all of his 6 targets for 48 yards and 3 touchdowns, totaling his 4-touchdown game, second of his career. Aaron Jones was a huge part of this offense this week, and going forward should always be a huge part of the offense. Next up on this list is left guard Jon Runyan Jr. He got pushed into the starting left guard spot after Lucas Patrick was out with that concussion, and he showed up big time. If there was ever to be a game where Jon Runyan Jr. should ball out in, it would be this one, because this could very well earn him a starting spot. It was his first play time in this regular season so far, earning him a 79.6 overall grade with a 87.2 pass block grade and a 73.0 run block grade. He allowed 0 hits, 0 pressures, 0 sacks, and had a pass block efficiency of 100% in 65 snaps. Moving forward, Jon Runyan Jr. should probably be the starting left guard, even when Lucas Patrick's concussion, or he's healthy or whatever. I think Jon Runyan Jr. should be that left guard, starting left guard. He does have a lot more upside. I said it in previous videos. Lucas Patrick is a good veteran lineman, a good depth guy, but Jon Runyan Jr., drafted in 2020 in the 6th round, just definitely has a lot more upside. So last but not least for the offensive winners, that is center Josh Myers. He's been our starting center since day one, since he stepped into the building, and he's done a masterful job. This week he earned a 70.0 overall grade, which included a 78.6 pass block grade and a 68.2 run block grade. He did allow 1 pressure, but he also had a pass blocking efficiency of 98.5. Josh Myers has been very consistent through both games. He's rated 5th in centers in the entire NFL, and he's actually the #1 rookie center so far this year. What's been great with Myers is he's really been on par with Aaron Rodgers' snap count, whether it's a quick snap to get 12 men on the defense penalty, or it's a hard count. He's really on par. He hasn't really messed that up at all, and it really just feels like Corey Linsley has never left. So this is just a great draft pick, and he should definitely be our starting center for the foreseeable future. Now moving to the losers of the offense, and first up we have wide receiver Allen Lazard. He did not receive a single target, and he didn't really make that much of an impact at all. Although I will say I did see he did have a couple good blocks. I will say that, and Allen Lazard's always been a good blocker. He was our lowest graded wide receiver on Monday night with a 51.0 overall grade, which included a 50.5 pass game grade, a 56.5 run block grade, and last week he also only had 2 catches for 16 yards. He just needs to get more involved. Honestly, all the receivers not named Davante Adams need to get more involved. It was nice to see Randall Cobb get a few catches last game after getting nothing the first game. But overall, like I said, just these receivers start to need to get more involved, and that falls on Matt LaFleur as well, because anyone not named Davante Adams or a running back like Aaron Jones or Robert Tonyan really just hasn't done anything. Next up on this list, we have 4th-round rookie guard Royce Newman, and he hasn't really been the best this regular season after killing it in the preseason, so definitely a surprise. He was our lowest graded offensive lineman on Monday night with a 52.8 overall grade, which included a 76.7 pass block grade and an abysmal 46.8 run block grade. He allowed 1 sack, 1 hit, 2 pressures, and also committed 1 penalty. Hopefully, Royce Newman can put it back together and return to his preseason form where he was the highest graded guard there. Or else by the time when Bach comes back and starts at that left tackle spot, who knows what they're going to do with Elton Jenkins. They might move him back to guard. They might put him at right tackle, which would slide Billy Turner inside. But if he doesn't improve his play, could easily lose that last guard spot when Bach comes back to someone like Jon Runyan Jr., and he could wind up back on the bench. Lastly, for the offensive losers, going back to wide receiver, and that's with Marquez Valdes-Scantling. also didn't receive one catch on Monday night, but I will admit some of that was definitely on Aaron Rodgers because there's a couple plays where it looked like Marquez was wide open deep, or at least had a at least like 5-step lead on the corner, and Aaron Rodgers overthrew him. But at the end of the day, he was our second lowest wide receiver grade this week with a 53.1, which included a 44.6 in the passing game and a 68.5 in the run block game. And it's the same as Lazard. He just needs to get more involved. Matt LaFleur needs to get him more involved, and he needs to get on the same page with Aaron Rodgers. Because last year, he was a very, very good deep threat, one of the better ones in the league, if not the best deep threat in the league when you compare it to stats. And there was a lot of hype around him this offseason. A lot of people were like, oh, Marquez Valdes-Scantling last year on his deal, he's going to play himself out of Green Bay. Could Marquez be a 1,000-yard wide receiver? He just really hasn't shown that through 2 games at all. So I'm like I said before, I hope him and Aaron get on the same page because he's definitely a big part of this offense and that they need a guy that can stretch out the safeties. So now we move over to the defense, and we start with the winners. And first up is defensive lineman Kenny Clark. He was the highest graded defender for Green Bay this week. He had a phenomenal game, even while pretty much every other defensive lineman on this team Monday night stunk it up. He earned a 85.5 overall grade, which included a 78.8 run defense grade, a 70.5 tackle grade, and a 73.6 pass rush grade. He had 5 total pressures, 1 hit, 4 hurries, and 3 tackles, which he didn't miss a single tackle. Kenny Clark has been on par with his usual self. He's been a very, very good defensive lineman thus far this year. He's 7th overall in the entire NFL for defensive lineman in PFF grade, and he's also 4th in pressures. Second on this list for winners is our new inside linebacker from the offseason, Vondre Campbell. He was our second highest graded defender this week with an 80.9 overall grade, a 79.9 run defense grade, and a 66.0 tackle grade, a 60.2 pass rush grade, and a 79.2 cover grade. Now, he did give up a lot of catches, 9 of them. But the longest of all those catches was 8 yards. He was right there to make the stop the moment the ball was caught most of the time. Now, obviously, he also did let up that touchdown to TJ Hockenson. Me personally, I thought it was great coverage. I thought he did everything he could do. He put himself in a position to make that stop there, but it was a perfectly thrown ball to where only TJ Hockenson was going to catch it. Jared Goff made a very nice throw there. So I wouldn't really say that was Devondre's fault. He was there. He was in position to make the play. It was just a very good throw and a very good catch by Hockenson. Campbell racked up 1 pressure, 1 hurry, and then 10 tackles. And on those 10 tackles, he only missed 1. He's been a very solid linebacker this year, a great addition. He's been 14th in overall linebacker grade in the entire NFL, and he's tied for 3rd in the NFL for PFF grades for run defense grade for all linebackers. Last up for the defensive winners, we have Eric Stokes. He was our highest graded cornerback this week with a 72.1 overall grade, which included a 62.4 run defense grade and a 72.2 cover grade. He had 1 tackle and only allowed 1 reception for 5 yards on 4 targets for that 1 touchdown that went to Quintez Cephas. But again, it's probably not his fault. If you saw my game recap, him and Kevin King were both in that area. There was a rub route, and they didn't switch, so Cephas ended up running that out route wide open. Who knows if it was on, Eric Stokes, or if he was told to switch or he wasn't told to switch. We don't know at this point, but I wouldn't really put that on him. Plain and simple, Eric Stokes should be the starting cornerback moving forward. And I actually did make an entire video going over that. So if you want to go and watch that video, definitely click the link above. All right, so now moving over to the losers on defense, and let's start with a guy I've kind of been hyping up all off season, so I'll eat crow here, and it's Kingsley Kake. He hasn't had a good start at all this year. Like I said, I had very high hopes for him, and he hasn't looked good at all. He was our lowest graded defender with at least 10 snaps, which was a 44.5 overall grade, 51.6 run defense grade, 66.8 tackle grade, a 48.3 pass rush grade, and he attributed no stats other than 1 tackle in all of his 32 snaps. And he had an even worse game last week. He was also our lowest graded defender, and he needs to step up big time. There's a reason why this pass rush is doing virtually nothing, and in my eyes, it probably starts down low with the defensive lineman not named Kenny Clark, because they're all really not doing much at all, and that definitely includes Kingsley Kake, considering his grade on the year is for both games is a 36.3, just absolutely terrible. And that's with 63 total snaps. So it's not like it's 15 snaps or something like that. Like I said, Kingsley Kake needs to step it up, or the Packers are going to have to go out and find someone else. So let's keep the trend going with poor defensive line play with Tyler Lancaster, our second lowest graded defender this week with at least 10 snaps with a 46.1 overall. Let's play who can be the worst defensive lineman. A 49.3 run defense grade, a 69.7 tackle grade, and a 54.5 pass rush grade. Also, no other stats than 1 tackle in his 18 total snaps. So a lot less snaps than Kake, but he still was bad. And this moves me on to my next point. I would also like to see more of rookie TJ Slaton, although he graded bad with his 6 snaps this week, which is a very low sample size. He's only had a total of 22 snaps this entire year. So at this point, why not see what Slaton's got? I mean, these two guys clearly aren't doing anything, so let them fight for the job. Rotate Slaton and let him get more snaps, and let's see what he's got. All right, so to round up the PFF grades for this week, last on this list is cornerback Chandon Sullivan, who seemingly got a downgraded role this week, and obviously for the right cause. This week, he was our lowest graded defensive back with a 50.8 overall, a 60.5 run defense grade, a horrible 35.4 tackle grade, and a 54.5 coverage grade. He allowed 3 catches on all 3 targets for 43 yards and had a missed tackle, and that's only in 18 snaps. His snaps were nearly cut in half from last week, where he also didn't play too well. King and Jair started to get those slot/star snaps when Stokes was put outside. So it's very clear the Packers didn't want to put Sullivan on the field. So I'm very interested to see going forward how the Packers use that star/slot role. Will they drop Amos down there? What will they do with it, especially considering Eric Stokes will probably be the starting outside corner sooner rather than later? Will they put King there? Will they put King at the other corner and Jair in the slot? Very interested to see what Joe Barry does there. So that wraps things up for this week's PFF grades. If you didn't know already, I will be doing this after every game, so definitely be sure to keep an eye out on my channel to check out the PFF grades for the previous game. Leave a like down below if you do enjoy this kind of thing. I'll catch you on the next one. As always, go Pack Go.